I grabbed this old system with beat up lights and everything in a transformer, and I put them around my yard. And as soon as I put the first light in and turned it on, something inside me just erupted.
Meet Rob Bingham, a longtime Mill Creek resident and the creative mind behind Outdoor Lighting Perspectives. With a background in engineering and design, Rob now transforms spaces with stunning outdoor lighting.
So I started playing with up lights and down lights and path lights and all sorts of different things. And I was able to bring it together. I think tap into that creative side.
It seems unique to me because I've got a lot of friends that are engineers that don't have much of a creative side to them, and a bunch of creative people that I know that don't have much of an engineering side to them.
Because think about it, they're not just lights that magically get power from, we have to run wires of that. And you don't just want to hack and tack where you just and throw it along in there. That looks horrible. You got to be able to hide the wires. You got to be able to run wires from A to B, Z.
Right.
But you also want to have uniform lighting around that deck. So when you get done, you turn it on, it looks perfect. Some of the psychology is if you come home to a well-lit house, right? And it doesn't have to be overlit. It doesn't have to be Las Vegas, just classically, beautifully lit. You're coming home to a destination and you're lighting that destination. So you feel drawn to this place. What a lot of people don't realize is
Well, hello again, beautiful people. Thank you all for joining us today. It's the Mill Creek Life Today podcast. Once again, coming to you from Tapped, our home studio. You know, we do some things out and about in the community, but we always come home. And today's a perfect day, and we're in flannel because it's cold and rainy outside. But thanks to Tapped for being our host in our home studio. As usual, this is brought to you by Greg Elwin Real Estate, and they'll put a little thing right there. Know that guy? If you're thinking about real estate and you want to sell your home and you live in Mill Creek, come see me. I also want to let you know that you can get this on the video version on YouTube, and you can get the audio version on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere else you can pick up your podcast. You can get that. So check it out, like it, share it, and subscribe so we can get these pushed out to everybody because we got a bunch of cool stuff going on. Today is another very cool day. I want to introduce my good friend, Rob Bingham. Rob, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation.
Rob's with Outdoor Lighting Perspectives.
Correct.
And we're going to get into that quite a bit on what Outdoor Lighting Perspectives is. And we've got some stories to tell about that. My house has got some outdoor lighting.
It does.
So I want to talk to you about that too.
I know the guy who did that.
Yeah, did a darn good job. And we'll get into that part. But, this is all about Mill Creek and what's cool about Mill Creek. And one of the things that is cool about Mill Creek is the people, right? The people that are here, and you're one of them. So you live in town. How long have you been around here?
So I've lived in this area probably about 25 some odd years.
Okay.
So right out of college, we moved up in the Seattle area. I lived a little bit in Woodinville, and then we kind of moved into this area. I was working at Boeing at the time. Awesome commute. So we were out in Silver Firs. We're just around the corner, just up 35th right now. So we've been here a long time. We watched the buffalo come and go.
Yeah.
We watch all the new strip malls coming in and the new shopping centers, and we've seen this place really mature, especially the town center. I think once the town center came in, that made this place just an incredible hub for the family.
Yeah. So that was like late 90s when Town Center or something like that opened up, and I think it was 93 or 4, as a matter of fact, because La Palmera was the first business in Town Center, and they just celebrated their 20th anniversary.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how long that's been going on there. So you mentioned watch the buffalo come and go.
Yep.
Where we sit literally was a buffalo farm.
It literally was.
Yeah, I moved here in 2016, so the buffalo were gone by the time I got here. But Tapped, and then the farm, which is what this development is, because there's a buffalo farm here.
Yep.
So, I've talked to folks that, you should have seen the buffalo. What was cool about the buffalo here?
Well, I mean, you're in Seattle. You're in this kind of quasi-urban suburbia type area, and there's buffalo roaming. Where did buffalo roam? It's like the classic song. This, 35th and 128th essentially used to be just kind of a blinking red light. There was a barn, there were buffalo running around. It was pretty idyllic, especially like early morning. You got the mist going through, you have buffalo, steam's coming off them. It was really pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And now all of that is gone, other than some wetlands here, and this like a cool development, which is happens, right? In prosperous and growing communities, you have that kind of development that goes on, and it can be met with mixed emotions, right? There are those like, we want it to be how it was, and those that want to just develop everything. But what we're finding in our community is kind of that sweet spot in the middle, where we still can preserve some of that small town charm, but still have the stuff around us that we want to have, the conveniences and the support.
And I think that's an awesome testament to kind of the Mill Creek leadership in the community, right? Because Mill Creek was a planned community way back when it started in the 80s or something like that. And then as it's grown, it could have just been overrun with apartments and houses and strip malls and stuff like that. But I think a lot of the land use plan, right, and that landscape architecture, that mentality that's part of the leadership team that also then ends up being, tangible things in the community really is what gives Mill Creek kind of its life, its vibrancy.
Yeah.
And that's why people want to come here and live here.
It's true in my business, right? In the real estate world, Mill Creek is a desirable place. People want to buy a house and people want to live here because of kind of the cachet around living in Mill Creek, but then also the reality of what town is when you get here. If you've got children, our schools are highly rated at elementary, middle, and high school level.
Yep.
Our businesses are thriving businesses. It's a great place for someone to start a business because you've got so much going on right here.
Yep.
So you mentioned you moved here when you were working at Boeing, right? But you didn't always work at Boeing. What did you do after you left Boeing at some point?
I did, yeah, I did. So I spent a couple of years designing flight decks for airplanes, which is a lot of fun. You're sitting up there and that was awesome. And then I transitioned, I left Boeing and I went into the medical device industry and the fitness industry. So I was designing medical treadmills and fitness treadmills.
Okay.
And so learning a lot about human physiology, and it was an awesome transition to go from heavily regulated Boeing to kind of less heavily regulated kind of fitness industry, stuff like that. And so that was really just awesome. I don't know if people know, but this Western Washington area has been a hotbed for fitness equipment manufacturing and development for quite a few years. There were a couple of treadmill manufacturers. Trotter was one of them that was kind of a high-end consumer treadmill. Precourse just down the street. Winton made all the medical treadmills. Stairmaster, who I went to after the medical, was also here. So a lot of fitness industry. So I was in the fitness industry for a good 10 or 12 years, designing bike-centric fitness type equipment. Took me all over the world building products to all sorts of interesting places, and I can say my chopstick skills are awesome, right? Because I spent a lot of time using it.
Yeah. It's one of those seldom known things what you do there, right? I mean, people just assume, well, it's, treadmills, whatever, right? Exercise equipment, whatever, but like so many other things, and we're going to talk about your business, so many things go behind the scenes, right, to make that stuff cutting edge and to keep those companies on the leading edge of the industry. And it's not just set it and forget it. There's a lot that goes into it. So you're heavily involved with, building and creating, and that has been kind of cool to tap into your creative genes a little bit too.
Yeah, and that's where the creative genes came out. A lot of the product development that I've done over the last 30 years has been what we call fuzzy front end type stuff. It's like, hey, we think there's an opportunity here for a new product. We just don't know what it is. So we need somebody to kind of take the pulse of the industry, see what's available from a technology standpoint, put it all together and productize it, and then produce it. So I've done that for quite a few years, and I think I was good at it because of that creative side, which is a natural transition for me to do the creative part of my landscape lighting business.
It seems unique to me because a lot of what you're talking about with your experience with Boeing and your experience with the fitness industry is very engineering specific, right? And I've got a lot of friends that are engineers that don't have much of a creative side to them, and a bunch of creative people that I know that don't have much of an engineering side to them. That's probably me. I'm probably more creative than engineering.
Right.
But to find you, and you discover this ability about yourself that, man, I've been engineering, but man, I got a creative gene inside of me that's just busting to get out. That's cool.
It wasn't always cool because if I would be in a traditional engineering job, the first thing, they'd want to do is put you in a box.
Right.
And say, here's your box. And the first thing I would do is crawl out of the box. And then they put me back. And so going back and forth and realizing, because I'd always go, well, what's over here?
Yeah.
And that looks like an opportunity. And let's go do this. So when I finally understood what that was and could quantify it, I could then harness it. So my natural tendency is to be a creative. I've had to learn to be an engineer and a project manager. And I've had to learn to have both of those things exist at the same time. So, one will take over occasionally or the other, but I've had to learn to balance that and understand the warning signs. Yeah.
That's cool. Finding yourself, right? Discovering yourself, cultivating yourself, and growth.
Yeah, but then what do you do with it?
And what do you do with it, right?
Exactly.
Well, we'll get to what you do with it, because what you're doing with it now, I think, is the exact harmony of those two sides.
You hear?
Before we do, teaser. Before we do, though, wait, tell me about Rob's family.
So, like I said, we've been living here for 25 years, married quite a few years, 30 some odd years, to the same wonderful, beautiful woman who puts up with both the creative and the engineering side equally.
Yeah.
And she's a master at being able to manage the ins and outs of that. Two older daughters, Sydney and Amanda. So Sydney's 22, Amanda is 20.
Okay.
And so we're still here being part of the community, and Sydney's getting ready to spread her wings and going to do some marketing with some of the local resources around here. And so, well, Amanda's trying to figure out what she wants to do next, which is awesome.
You're 20.
Yeah, she's be 20, Amanda. That's what I tell her.
Exactly.
Just be 20, because there's plenty of time. There's
Plenty of time to grow up and have some joy, youth, enjoy energy, enjoy creativity. Now, yeah. So your kids grew up in this community.
grew up in
Right.
the community. Yep.
And so what does the family like to do? As your kids were born and grew and went to school and those kinds of things, were sports involved, arts involved, academics? What was the big thing in the house?
My oldest daughter, Sydney, was a dancer. So she danced a lot from the time we knew she was going to be a dancer, because we signed her up for, kind of a kids dance class. And they had the first recital, and she came and ran across the stage, jumped all the way across the stage, and landed and took off. And we went, there we go. That's what Sydney's going to do. So we kept her in dance. There's a great dance school here called Reflection School of Dance. Been here a long time. Awesome people. Sydney danced there for quite a few years. So a lot of recitals, a lot of that type of stuff. Amanda is a creative for sure. I don't know how she gets 1.5 million views on her Instagram account. Somehow she does that. Her passion is animals. So everything has been animal centric from the time she was a wee kid. So she currently works another business over in Snohomish called Bridges Pets, and so she loves that there, because she gets to take care of pets, take care of the animals, and just really enjoys it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Our youngest, Ashley's 19, and she's just starting her second year of college. But she got her real estate license last year, and so now she's working in our brokerage. And at 19, much like Amanda, your younger daughter, right?
Yeah.
Don't figure out what you want to do right now. Try this thing. Experiment with this. Try some different classes. Challenge yourself to do something different in school that you might not have done, but maybe just kind of piques your interest for some ways or another.
Yeah.
I still don't know for sure what I want to be when I grow up.
We got to grow up first.
I know. You got to figure that out at some point.
Right.
But for sure, our young kids like that, just enjoy that youth.
Well, and the community supports that. There's so much to do, whether, the kids are taking swim lessons down at Columbia, right? There was a lot of water baby swimmy type stuff going on there. All the sports and the preschool activities and the curricular stuff and dancing. There's just so much family-centric stuff to do. Whether you like to get the kids out and go ride the trail, which is awesome, go for walks, do whatever you want, 5 minutes that way, you're in farmland, right? 5 minutes that way, you're in the Alderwood Mall, right? So that's one of the things that drew us to Mill Creek, is it's central, but you could just kind of go do so many different things. Really easy.
Yeah, you bet. The whole mountains to sound thing that you have available to us here is just incredible. And Mill Creek is great. Snohomish County is wonderful for those opportunities. we're just blessed to live in Western Washington. So yeah, in general, I lived in the South Sound and now the middle of Sound, and we're lucky. Oh yeah, we're lucky. Yeah, and live in a town like this, where we still got a little small town charm to us. Everything else we need is right there. Yep, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You've been very active in Mill Creek Chamber of Commerce as well, as you've been building your business. Your business is still relatively new, but one of the things that we focus on, aside from commerce and helping folks build their business, are community events or opportunities to support community events.
Yeah.
And so you were at our festival this last July. Tell me a little bit about what you did there, why you were there, and how that went for you.
Well, the Chamber of Commerce in the community is very active, right? Whether we've got the Mill Creek Festival, whether we've got the music, the Wednesday night music and stuff, there's always something to do around here. So there's always some activity, and it's just a lot of fun to be part of that. I'm kind of nosy, so I like to be on the planning side a little bit, but I also like to take some of my skills and some of my capabilities and be able to give back to the community. For so many years, I spent focusing outside of the community, a lot of traveling, right? It feels so good to come back and focus those creative energies and some of my resources to give back to the community and make my house, my home, just an even better place.
Yeah.
Whether it was the lighting we provided for the festival for the music stage and stuff like that, just adding a little bit extra there just to put a little cherry on the top was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed showing at the festival. So we had a booth there, right?
Right.
And being able to meet other Mill Creek people, talk to them about what we do, just shake hands and just connect was wonderful. Right?
It's a great event, nice summer weekend.
Yeah.
A bunch of people coming through, vendors like yourself, the opportunity to interact and create connections within the entertainment. And so I want to talk, this is my segue, right?
Yeah.
Is the tent. So we have this giant tent. For those of you who haven't been to the festival, next year, make sure you come to the festival. We have this giant tent, which is a beer and wine garden plus a main stage where we have music. And in years past, we've set this big tent up, and we've had great times. And you and I were talking after the festival of 23, right? Well, it'd be cool to get some sort of cool lighting in here, right? We're like, well, of course it would. It's one of those kind of tap your forehead moments like, well, that makes most sense in the world. So that's what we did this past July is you and your team and your company came in and basically just lit the place up. We have a Friday night VIP volunteer appreciation event, which is in the evening, and it's July, so it stays light out late, right? But not that light. And so we were able to light that up for that event, and then for the whole weekend as well. And that's your business, outdoor lighting perspective. So for anybody who came to the festival, that's what you saw.
Yep.
So now I want to talk about OLP. And how you went from designing fitness equipment to putting lights in my yard.
Well, so it started before your yard.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I know it did because I went and saw some of your work.
Yeah. The genesis of this is I had a friend who's a landscaper, and he said, yeah, hey, we just redid somebody's yard. I got all these outdoor lights. Does anybody want it? And I went, oh yeah, I'll take it. Sure, that'll be fun. So I grabbed this old system with beat up lights and everything in a transformer, and I put them around my yard. And as soon as I put the first light in and turned it on, something inside me just erupted.
Yeah.
And I went, I've got to have way more darn minute. I got to have more of this. So I started playing with up lights and down lights and path lights and all sorts of different things. And, I was able to bring it together. I think tap into that creative side and do something other than just overlight a yard. We're able to accentuate it and build flow and purpose into it. And I did that in my place. I did that on a couple of friends' place. And then, after a couple of years when I started to wind down my corporate career and didn't want to travel as much, I'm like, what am I going to do, right, when I grow up? And I went, why don't I do this? I really enjoy it. I get to stay in the community, and I get to make Western Washington just even more beautiful and our neighborhood even more beautiful, right? Mill Creek, if I can add more lights to around Mill Creek, whether it's HOA entrances or houses or businesses or something like that. That's just something that just continues to give back to the community each and every day.
Yeah. It is really just a beautification, and it takes us from good to great. Okay. It just steps our game up a little bit.
Right.
So tell me about the company, though, Outdoor Lighting Perspectives. How did you, what is it, and how did you get involved with it?
So Outdoor Lighting Perspectives is a national company, right? So it's a franchise company. There's over 100 different locations, and most of them are East Coast, east of the Mississippi. There's probably about 15 or so percent of us on the West Coast. So when I was, transitioning, going, I got to go do something, I met with kind of a career counselor type coach going, do I want to start my own business? Do I want to be a consultant? What do I want to do? And he took me through kind of an exercise and a process where you really deep dive in who you are, what you want to do, what brings you joy, and what can you do each and every day and feel better at the end of the day versus exhausted. And, he laid out 5 or 6 different businesses. Outdoor lighting happened to be one of them. And I went, wait a second, there's an outdoor lighting company? And I like it. Well, that's a natural fit. So I spent some time and investigated them, really liked how they support everybody. I really like the structure. I really like the capability and being able to tap into the knowledge base of all these people that have been doing it for so long. It was a natural fit. So I opened a franchise 4 years ago, and then I added a second one just last year. So essentially, all the way from Mount Vernon all the way down to, Kent, essentially is my territory, right? So every place in between and all those beautiful properties and houses are just things for me to take a look at. Yeah, try to make them look beautiful.
Now, you do commercial work, too.
We do.
Yeah, so, big buildings like this that you can light up, holiday lighting or year-round lighting.
And so everything we do is low voltage. We don't do line voltage stuff. I have a lot of clients asking me to help consult for the lighting on the inside. Lighting design is not a very common skill, right? So we add some lighting design in there, but we're always using commercial electricians and residential electricians do anything line voltage, the low voltage stuff that we're going to do. So we're going to make anything out in the yard. We're going to put stuff out in the yard and in the dirt. That's easy for us to do.
Yeah.
And then when winter comes around, we also switch to holiday lighting. So I take that same design skill, take a look at somebody's house and go, okay, here's what I recommend for some lights and some garland and bows to create something. Now, the unique part of our service, it's completely hands-off. We call it a full service package.
Okay.
I provide all the lights, we put them on the house, we take them down, we store them for you, right? Next year, if you want to change colors, change colors. If a clip breaks or bulb breaks, they take care of that. So it's all really hands-off, making it really easy for the homeowners.
Another thing that you were sharing with me that you can do, like with an existing system like mine, is change the bulbs out. So the bulbs in each of those fixtures can be controlled through Bluetooth, right?
Right.
How's that work? Because I want to do that.
Yeah. So over the last 5 years, the color changing technology for outdoor lighting has just improved significantly, not only from its capability, but also its quality. Nothing's worse than me selling a fixture to a client, putting it in their yard, and water gets in and it fails, right? So the quality's been awesome. There's different ways you can do it. You can simply, like you're talking about, just replace the bulb, and then they're Wi-Fi bulbs, and they'll connect, and you can change them however you want. There's other more sophisticated solutions where each one of the fixtures are communicating all around the yard. So you can turn some on and some off. You can create patterns. It's still the same technology of color changing, but it's a little bit more robust of an architecture. So you're not dealing with a weak Wi-Fi signal or something like that.
Interesting. Now, the other thing that we've talked about, and I've seen you do, and this is perfect for holiday, but the year-round lighting, is the permanent lighting that goes around the house. Well,
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's probably the thing that I think is the beginning of something that's going to be really big, and it's going to be prevalent all over. And it's called permanent roofline lighting. Okay. So what we do is we take color changing lights, small color changing lights, all connected by wires. They get attached to your house. We put in an aluminum track that's color matched to your fascia. Okay. So during the day, you don't see them. It looks like a normal part of your house. But at night, you can press a button. We can light up your house one color, multicolor, animate, or you can just say, hey, I just want a cool architectural wash. turn one light on, one light off. The product we represent or that we use is called Gensome lights, which is by far the best lighting, the outdoor permanent lighting that you can put on your house for two reasons. Number one, it has a dedicated warm white light in it to give you all the white colors, the whole range of white colors. And number two, it's got a Class 2 transformer on it. This is a certified Class 2 transformer, incredibly safe. So putting something on your house, putting wires on your house, this is the best, safest product to do.
So just because I don't know, and that means probably other people don't know, what's a Class 2 transformer?
So a Class 2 transformer means it's designed specifically with extra insulation and extra controls as far as how much power can go through each circuit. So you can't overload, a Class 1 transformer, somebody could run the whole house into one tap and run way too much power that it'll overheat wires and they'll melt and burn out fixtures. The Class 2 is very regulated and very controlled. You can only do so much through each one. It keeps all the actual voltage or the amperage going through very low, makes it safe so the wires don't overheat. The transformer's insulated, so it's a very, very safe product.
Ideal for this application.
Absolutely perfect for this application. Yeah.
You and I have talked in the past, and you alluded to a little bit about how 15% of the OLP, give or take, franchises are out west, and most of them are on the east.
On the East Coast, yeah.
East Coast bias, maybe? Or is there something else to it?
I think it has to do with maturity of the market. The other thing is people on the East Coast spend a lot more time outside, believe it or not. A lot of time out on the decks and patios. They also like to have the front of their house lit up and make it very nice and beautiful and bright. And so the Seattle market is probably 10 or so years behind the rest of the country. But, there's certainly opportunity to light up out here.
Oh my goodness.
No place needs outdoor lighting more than the Seattle area. No place has less outdoor lighting in Seattle, right? So huge opportunity for us to bring more and more beautiful lighting around the neighborhood and around the area. So,
And I get this, right? I see in my neighborhood, there's lots of solar, yard lights in different places in different yards. And it seems like, this is a way to just do this kind of a thing. And I had those in my yard. I still do in the backyard, but I'm not supposed to tell you that.
Yeah.
But what you did to transform my house compared to the neighbors, it's incredible. And I'm going to tell the story. I tell it all the time because it's a dirty, rotten little trick that you saw, but it's effective. So you came out to my house and said, hey, let me set up this little kit here. And so it's kind of the traveling road show of, I'm going to put some of these up lights and these down lights. I'm just going to plant them around temporarily and string some cables. And then once it gets dark, you come outside and take a look. And so you do. And this demonstration pack you have where it's uplighting my Japanese maple or whatever the shrubs are that we have, and we're shining on the stone on the front of the house, creating all these cool shadows. And it was just like, this is incredible, right? Yeah, right. And then the dirty thing you do is you flip the switch and turn it off, and the whole place goes dark.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, turn it back on, quick.
Yeah.
But it's so illustrative, it works, right?
Right.
And is it a sales tactic? Well, of course it's a sales tactic, but because I know you, I know that you're not just trying to sell me on something that I don't need or want. You're helping facilitate something that we wanted done, and to see from not having it to the finished product that we have today, this is incredible. It's money well spent. You will feel so good about your home when you come home at night or you go for a walk around the block, and it just beautifies your home, right? And there's my previous career, we talked about crime prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we always said in crime prevention was just turn your dang lights on.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody breaking into your house or prowling around your house at night. Turn your lights on. And so turning on a front porch light and a back porch light is as effective as most homes can be with that. But when you have a lighting system that's all low voltage, LED, it's minimal power draw. We don't very little spike in our power bill every month. Nope. It's not noticeable. But we've created this essentially this barrier around the front of our house.
Exactly.
Because bad guys don't want to be seen. More than anything else, bad guys don't want to be seen. And so they don't like lights and they don't like making noise.
Yep.
And so we've created this barrier around our house that is a safety barrier. So not only is it beautiful, but it's functional.
Right. Right.
And I don't know if a lot of people, equate that, but I think that's hugely important to let everybody know.
It really is, because there's some of the psychology is if you come home to a well-lit house, right? And it doesn't have to be overlit. It doesn't have to be Las Vegas, just classically, beautifully lit. You're coming home to a destination and you're lighting that destination. So you feel drawn to this place. What a lot of people don't realize is as important as the lighting in the front of the house, we all live on the back side of the house. And so adding lighting to the back side of the house does a couple of things. It creates that light barrier, right, in the backyard. It creates that boundary. It gives you things of interest to look at. So when it starts getting dark at 4:30 and the blinds are still open, you don't want to close everything in. You've got your trees lit up. You've got your path lights. Your perceived living area becomes so much greater all the way out to that perimeter, right? So that's important to do that. To touch on your point about the thing we call the nighttime demo, because you aren't sitting there looking at your neighbor's yards going, I want a yard like this or that, because there isn't that much out here. Trying to make you feel comfortable with our design approach is super important, right? I just want to throw a bunch of numbers at you and a bunch of fixtures. You're in no context, means no. So what we'll do is we'll come out and I'll say, Greg, here's my approach for your house. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll put some lights out that represent the design pretty close, about 90%, and then we'll turn them on. So rather than me telling you what the design looks like and you having to get the same picture in your brain as in my brain, we just look at the same picture, which are the lights. So it's a good way for us to show you what we mean so you feel comfortable with our design approach. And then when you write that check for the project, you know exactly what it's going to look like.
Right.
It takes all the guesswork out of it.
Right. In my circumstance, at the time we had our system put in, we hadn't finished some of the landscaping projects that we wanted, both in front of the house and in the back of the house. And when I talked to you at the time, you're like, no problem.
Yep.
Right. This system is designed to grow and expand as time changes.
Yeah.
So as some of our new vegetation matures this spring and we want to start bringing in some additional lighting, it's easy. It's just a component system, right?
Right.
Just plug more in and away you go.
Yeah, we always make sure there's additional capacity on the transformers for expansion. We also don't like to sell you all the lights at once up front, right? We'd much rather come in and say, hey, let's start with this. And then we really want you to live with it a little bit. And then we can add a little bit more to get to that final solution rather than over-design or overlight something, which does nobody a disservice.
Right.
It makes a place just not look great. Yeah, it's no good. So we make sure that there's opportunity to do that. I've always got something in the back of my brain of like in 2 years or 3 years, this will be good. Also, if any of your plants move or anything,
Right.
we can come and move some of those fixtures around because after, even as quick as a year or so, they get covered with bark. The kids knock them over, right? The trees grow or something. So it's always good for us to come in and maintain them, move things, make it look like it did on the first day.
Now there's some really cool projects. I think my project is super cool.
Yeah.
But it's just a house in a neighborhood. There are some really cool projects you've done with like mansions and waterfront homes and the only limit is the imagination.
Pretty much.
And a lot of people like myself, I've got some imagination and creativity, but when you take somebody that's got imagination, creativity, and expertise, that's when you can really start making something cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not all about me, right? It's my business. I'm the owner. I'm the creative, right? But without my team, right? So my senior technicians, my junior technicians, and I hire from the community. I hire locally. My senior technician literally lives, 5 minutes away from the shop, right? So he's a Mill Creek person.
Yeah.
But the whole team, right? I can design something. I can communicate it, I can sell it, but if they don't come in and they do an impeccable job, all of our systems are installed by hand.
Right.
They make sure that we're not cutting sprinkler lines, cutting through roots of plants, right? That takes work and that takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Right. And that takes attention to detail. Without them doing the follow-up, it doesn't matter what I decide.
Are you hiring? I am hiring. Yes. Seems like we talked about that. You're recruiting right now.
I am.
It takes us a couple weeks to turn this podcast episode around. So we're talking now, and when it goes out there, it's going to be a couple weeks from now. But you're still going to be recruiting. You're still going to be looking, right? And you'd like to have all your positions filled, but it's highly likely that maybe you won't.
Right.
So what are you looking for? Who are you looking for? What kind of experience do they need to have? And what's the right employee fit for you?
So the right employee fit, I think, is somebody who really likes to work with their hands and they like outdoor jobs, right? This is an outdoor job. You're not in an office someplace, right? So somebody who's like, I like working with my hands. College is probably not to me. I want to get something in the trades, or at least want to see if I wanted to be in the trades. It's a perfect opportunity. And yet we're close by. I've got service vans that are outfitted with the latest and greatest tools. My senior technicians and my mid-level technicians love to train. We'll bring somebody in and we'll teach you the ins and outs of installing a landscape lighting system. You also got to do some holiday lighting, right? Because this is a big holiday lighting push. So we'll typically bring people in for holidays and then keep them around after first of the year going into the landscape. So there's going to be a lot of holiday lighting experience or jobs, landscape lighting, and then with all this permanent lighting taking off and everything, it's just going to continue to grow and mature and develop. So yeah.
So are you recruiting for entry-level positions? So somebody that doesn't have any experience doing this? Yep. If they're the right fit, if they're the right drive, the right person, obviously.
Yeah, the big thing is, they can't be afraid of a hammer. If they grab the wrong end of the hammer and start beating things,
Here's your sign.
that's typically not a good sign, right? So if somebody I've always built stuff, I've always taken stuff apart, somebody who has that curiosity and loves to create beautiful things, that's an awesome fit for us. Junior level, mid-level positions, both are available. I'm always looking to grow and to scale, and I need to have good people to do that. People that can think not just about the position that they're in, but wanting to be in the next position. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to mature. There's more than enough places around here for me to put lights on.
You bet.
More than I could ever get to. I'm going to need help to do that.
Right. You say you have two franchises, the one that you initially started, and then you got one that's further south, right? King County. Do you have two locations, or are you working out of one location now?
Luckily, where we are right now at the bottom end of Snohomish County is perfect because it's the top end of King County, right? And so that one location, we're able to go south into King County, Puget Sound, that area. We're also able to go north. So it's one location for the centrally located, which is perfect for
Gives you the reach.
Absolutely.
That's cool. Because we'll be coming up on holiday season here pretty soon, and you mentioned it, do you offer packages, or how does one go about, deciding, hey, I want to do a holiday lighting thing with you all?
Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty simple. All you have to do is you go, hey, I don't want to get on the roof. I don't want to fall off the roof. I'm tired of, lights burning out December 24th. I'm interested in your package. So all you have to do is really give us a call. We can take a look at your house virtually.
Right.
And just say, hey, where do you want to put lights? You want to do it at the front? You want to do a tree? You want to do a wreath? Awesome. We can sketch it all up and give you a package within like a couple of hours. It's really pretty simple, really pretty easy. Now I'm going to be a little bit more expensive than the guys that show up and put really small bulbs and never show up again, right?
Sure.
They're kind of the cut and run guys.
Yeah.
Because, we're installing them, we're taking them down, we're storing them. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but I'm taking all the risk with all the product. You don't have to replace anything, touch anything, so it's a perfect hands-off type solution.
Yeah, we'll start seeing in the next few weeks these signs popping up on the side of the road, or a duct tape to somebody's pickup truck that says install Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will take advantage of. They will see that, they'll make the call, a couple $100, they put their lights up, and then that is it, right? Now, maybe a bunch of those will also come and take them down when the time comes, and then maybe you never see them again.
Right.
That's somebody hustling to try and make a buck.
Sure.
And you can't fault anybody for doing that. But if you're going to be the consumer, you just need to know what you're getting. You may not be getting great service. You may not be getting great follow-up. And you may not be getting a great product. You could be getting okay, I'm going to go down to Ace Hardware. I'm going to buy lights and I'm going to put them on your house for you.
The biggest issue, Bruno,
Slight Ace Hardware. That's right. About Ace Hardware.
Ace Hardware's awesome. The biggest issue is safety. Yep. Safety. So you want to have a vendor that's licensed, bonded, and insured, and that takes all the safety precautions, right? When my guys are on a ladder and on a roof, they are harnessed up and they are tied off. Right. They are my employees, not somebody that I've hired out to do a job, right? They're going to be the ones that put them up. They're going to be the ones that take them down, right? If they don't do it right, you're going to talk to them, right? And because there's some ownership there. So that's a big part of it. Anybody can throw lights up on a house. They can also overload your circuits, pop GFIs, do all sorts of bad things. Yep. No, I highly recommend that if you want lights done, you hire a lighting person, not anybody who knows how to throw a light on a roof. Right? You're going to get what you pay for it.
Right. I could do that. I could create that sign. I hang Christmas lights on my gutter every year. Right. I can do that. But I also know that you're going to do it better with a better product. And I'm not going to have to pull my bin out of the attic and sort through.
Find your bin first.
Find my bin, make sure all the lights work, throw the ones away that don't work because, Now, is it wrong that I plug all my strings together? They're all LED, so they don't pop anything.
I will neither confirm nor deny that that's a good thing.
But a permanent solution is your permanent lighting, right? Permanent lights your lights and illusion, and you can turn your orange and green lights on now for Halloween, and you can turn your red, white, blue lights on for 4th of July.
Exactly.
Whatever colors you want, combination of colors you want for, whatever holiday, right? Or non-holiday.
That's the benefit. So, as much as I like the additional revenue source at the end of the year for doing Christmas lights, the absolute saddest day in Mill Creek is January 15th when I have to come take them down. Because people are like, no, please don't take my lights. We still got 4 months, 5, 6 months of winter,
Right.
The cool thing with the permanent lighting is they don't come down and you still have lights. You may be sick and tired of red and green by January 3rd. Great. Change them to warm white architectural lighting, right? Whatever you want. Push of a button, they're there. It lasts 50,000 hours. 5 or 10 years if we have any issues with these. So they're going to be there a long, long time.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I think it's a much better product for the community. It's a much safer product because it's 12 volt, not 120 volts. So it's low voltage, that class 2 transformer. It's an awesome product to put up.
So with a class 2 transformer, is it as simple as plugging that transformer into an exterior outlet and then wiring your...
That's it. That's it. Designed to be plugged in. All it needs is an outside outlet.
Right. Yeah, right. And I know in my circumstance, we didn't have outdoor outlets where we needed that. So I had a buddy who's an electrician put in outdoor outlets, and then you guys plugged in and away you go.
Yeah, and we're going to want to put that controller someplace in the back of the house where it's not visible, right? On the corners is nice because then we can get up and go around the roof line. But if you don't have an outlet there, if there's an outlet anywhere on that wall, the inside of the house, it's very easy for one of my electricians to come and make that an outside outlet.
Because we do that, we did. It's just super simple. I think people may feel a little bit intimidated by the project because they don't know. And so I think it's cool for you to talk to everybody a little bit about, now this is how easy it can be.
Yeah.
Putting an outlet on the outside of a wall where there's one on the inside of a wall, simple.
Yeah, people think they're just going to cut and rip it, and no, it's 30 minutes.
30 minutes and it's done.
It's done.
Yeah. Now you have when you have electricians that you use, because like you mentioned, your systems are all low voltage systems, and your techs are low voltage techs.
Correct.
They're not electricians that are going to cut a hole in the wall and put an outlet in.
Nope, they are not certified to do any line voltage type work.
Right. Correct. So that's been part of your business growth, right? Is to either employ or contract with electricians that can do that work, right?
Right. So I contract with electricians now. The regulations for permanent roofline lighting now with the state of Washington is electricians actually have to install it, right? So we provide the product, we buy the product, we provide the product. I do all the design because there's a lot of design that goes into where the power is, how the flow, the animation and all of that stuff. And then I contract out with electricians to be on site to do the installation, pull the permits and all that stuff. So everything we do absolutely meets all the requirements for the state of Washington.
Yeah, that's cool. State of Washington L&I can be challenging to work with at times.
Yeah.
But it's the environment in which we live and work, and so we just adjust it and deal with it.
Absolutely. That better we can do. Absolutely. Go with it. The most important thing is to make sure that when that system's installed, it works perfectly and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So we're there to make sure it works perfectly. It looks awesome. Who cuts the wires and plugs it in is really, not a trivial part, essentially.
We'll obviously in the episode share your website and share your contact information. But for those folks that are listening, what's your website?
Outdoorlights.com is the two different locations. There's /North Sound and /Puget Sound. So go there. You can see we've got our galleries are all set up with all the projects that we've done. You can see the work that we've done from landscape lighting, commercial lighting, event lighting, holiday lighting. All that information's there for you to go see. Fill out forms, get a consultation, whatever you want to do. It's all there. It's really pretty cool. Pretty good.
Outdoorlights.com. Can't be any simpler than that.
No, if you want to just go to the high level, outdoorlights.com, type in your zip code, it'll send you right to my website.
That's cool. And I would encourage people to check out the galleries because you're going to just see, it's just amazing. You include before and after photos?
There's a couple before and after photos.
I've got a couple before and after photos. Come by my house in Vine Maple at night and you can see what it looks like. It's just incredible.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool, man.
Yeah. And then we're, this year is going to be the year of really kind of showing people what we do. So there's big push for us. Social media is starting to really mature. Right. So Instagram, find us on Instagram, OLP North Sound or OLP Puget Sound. Follow us, subscribe. Right, especially we've got a YouTube channel too. Cool's always offers. There's always something there that's interesting. Yeah, even if you're just poking around, you want to know more about what I do. I'm be putting a lot of tips and tricks in there. How to light your house. Yeah, how to know you've got a good outdoor lighting system. Yeah, what to look for quality of fixtures, things like that. Right. So there's going to be a lot of content coming through very shortly.
That's cool. Do you have any kind of video or tutorial on that's basically this is how easy this is?
Yeah, if you go to our YouTube channel, just go on YouTube, type in OLP of Puget Sound, right? You're going to find our YouTube channel. There's some great videos of how easy it is for us to come up, do a consultation, meet with you, right? The hardest part is to figure out what you want, right? A lot of times people don't know, they can't articulate what they want.
Right. I was in that boat, right?
And you don't know. It's just you're not shopping for it all day long, right? So that's the hardest part. Once we got that figured out, then it's all, hey, here's how many lights, here's the package, and execute. It's pretty easy after that.
And again, this is why we rely on professionals to help us achieve what our vision is. We're not totally knowing, right? Or rely on the people. A landscaper. You want to do landscaping? Here's some things I've done. Here's some things to think about. Lighting systems, the same thing. Here's some things that have been successful. Here's what works and doesn't work. And rely on that person to help guide you through that.
Yeah.
One thing that it just popped into my mind, and we've talked about before, for folks that have low voltage outdoor lighting systems that you didn't install, we service those?
Absolutely. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come out and take a look at your system. If it's a system that's been somewhat maintained and good quality fixtures, there's a good chance that we can go in, change bulbs, clean it, do all that stuff. If it's an older system, maybe a DIY quality system, I would be doing you a disservice by throwing money into that.
Sure.
Because all you're going to do is push problems around, right? A lot of times it makes sense, come in, put a new system in, because then I can warranty everything. Right? And not just say, well, I changed that bulb, but not that one. That's your fault. You don't want to do that. Right. So we'll take a look at, we'll honestly recommend, hey, A or B, whichever one you want to do.
Yeah. So there are good, reliable, high quality outdoor lighting systems out there that you haven't done, which is dumb, by the way. I'm just saying. Just between machine air cards. Sorry. But those are out there, right? So, if they can be maintained, then you maintain them. But folks can trust that if you or your techs come out and say, hey, listen, this really isn't on the level it should be on, and it's a disservice to you for us to charge you to do anything with it.
Right.
Here's an option. Here's where we could do, and let folks make a decision.
And you know, there's some systems where decent fixtures have been put out there. Maybe the installation's bad.
Right.
Some of those cases, we'll take those fixtures and we'll repurpose them in another part of the yard. Like, for example, you know, the one challenge you'll have is you might have some fixtures that will, the appearance will be mixed a little bit. So maybe we'll take some of your older fixtures and put them in the back on some trees and everybody's going to see it. And all the new fixtures that we put in the front. Also up front. Best of both worlds. I hate waste. Yeah. I really hate throwing stuff away that's perfectly good. We'll reuse that every chance we can.
And I want to ask, because this is personal for me, we're going to rebuild our deck. And when we rebuild our deck and rebuild the railings, I want to incorporate, you know, lighting in the deck. So for somebody like myself that's thinking about doing that, when do we need to talk? Do we need to talk before I go out and buy all my materials and this is what I'm going to do? Or do we need to talk once it's done and I come and say, Rob, I built a deck, help me out with it?
So I would say bring me in earlier, sooner rather than later, right? Because there may be a couple of different features that you can put in that'll really help with the outdoor lighting. Because think about it, they're not just lights that magically get power from me. We have to run wires of that. And you don't just want to hack and tack where you just and throw it along in there. That looks horrible. You got to be able to hide the wires. You got to be able to run wires from A to B to Z.
Right.
But you also want to have uniform lighting around that deck. So when you get done, you turn it on, it looks perfect. Getting me there early with a design, I can say maybe change this or that. Getting me there before you button everything up, we can run the wires, put the fixtures in, put everything on, and call it good. And even if it's already done, my team will actually go in and they'll start taking parts of your deck apart to run the wires and put it back together, right?
So ideally, if you can do that ahead of time, just like when you build a house, right? You don't put the sheetrock up and then put the wiring in.
Right.
Bring the wiring in first while it can get to the structure. And I think that's important for people to think about because, first of all, we live in Mill Creek, and there are a lot of homes like mine that were built in 1981 that have cedar decks, that those decks need to regularly be replaced. That's mine, right? There's a lot of folks like that out there. And we live in the Northwest, right? So our decks are beat every winter time with weather. And so I think that that's a good thing for people to think about. From selfish right now, because as I pull all my decking out and get ready to do what I'm going to do, I want you to be able to come in at the time that it's right and run that electrical structure the way it needs to be run, so that we can button it up and have it all done.
Exactly. And you could add, you know, all the fixtures that we use on your deck, they're solid brass. Some of them are bulbs, some of them are integrated. They're designed to be outside, last a long time. Low profile, we hide them so you don't see them. The goal, the fixture should not be the star of the show.
Right.
The lighting effect should.
So the effect for it, and the fixtures, but the effect. What I see is, right, what is cast on wherever it's cast on, right? Railing, stairs, decking, whatever.
And the new product, the color changing products out there, you can put color changing lights around your deck. So if you're having a party or something, you want to make it a little bit festive, you push a button. You can add a little bit of color. Other benefit is you can turn one on, one off, or you can demo. So if you're out there entertaining, you want it light, turn them all on, right? If you're chilling and it's in the evening, got soft music going, dial them down a little bit. You can change the mood very easily with push a button.
Yes. Do you hang disco lights?
I can, but I typically advise against it.
Dang it, that sounds like a good idea. My wife would typically advise against it as well. So you guys are.
I totally know. I could totally make it happen. Whether or not we decide to actually do it depends on your stakeholder management skills.
Yeah. Probably not going to pass that one.
Yeah. So,
Rob, this has been a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come in and tell us all about your business.
Yeah.
I appreciate you and your contribution to the community and your support for everything that we do, your participation with the chamber and the support of the activities that we have. It means a lot. And I'm so happy to hear about your business growth and your hiring and your expanding and all these kinds of cool things going on.
Yep.
It's awesome.
yeah, no, it's fun and vibrant. And I wouldn't be as involved and as active, I think, if didn't have people like you running the chamber.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I mean, chamber and your business and the integrity and that calm and the chaos that you bring to all of your real estate transactions, you're an incredible asset to have, and it's very much a lot of fun to partner with you and work with you and get this stuff done. I know you're a humble guy, but the Mill Creek Festival, that was very well done and very buttoned up, and I know a lot of that was because of the time and effort you took. So, man, love to you, man.
I appreciate that. Absolutely. It's we're all stronger together. Absolutely. It's cool. Thanks, my friend. Appreciate you very much. Cheers to you. Cheers. And cheers to Tap. And cheers to Tap. Yep. And cheers to Jay. I am Third Media, making it all happen. Great to talk to you, folks. Good to see you again. Another episode coming soon. Love you all. Have a great time. Cheers, everybody.